I want to introduce to you the Lorenzo Lewis from the Confess Project. And we spent this past year working on a research article together, trying to bring voice to black barbers around the United States. And I really want Lorenzo just to kind of share his background, where he came from, and how we came to write this research article.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm always excited to talk about this, Justin. I think the most important thing is that, the Confess Project is a national grassroots movement that's committed to building a culture of mental health for young men of color and boys and their families. And we do this by training barbers to be mental health advocates. We've been coined as America's first mental health barbershop movement because we truly believe in the cultural assets of the black community by using the barbershops as one of the most historical and promising places in the black community. And so we host this training through around listening and how to reduce mental health stigma, how to use validation as a tool to help clients that may be struggling. As we know, there are 2% of African Americans that identify as psychiatrists that are here in the United States. So we truly know we need support and voices that are really ready to take charge and really help people to just have a quality of life. I was brought to this work myself, my personal journey of depression and juvenile incarceration, childhood trauma that really led me on a early diagnosis of depression. And so I understand firsthand what this looks like. Also understand in my community, a lot of men and their families have dealt with similar problems. So we are here to help solve the problem. I'm putting barbers in the driver's seat, giving them the opportunity, allowing their clients to be also tapped into this, build a promising community where we know it's possible. And this is really what we're doing now across 28 cities and now the 500 barbers that we've trained in the network.
And you actually go around the country and you work with barbers and you train them. What is the training like? What is that kind of encompass that you do with them?
Yeah, so it's really clear. We train on, again, how to be, active listening, positive communication, stigma reduction, and validation. We also train on how barbers can make referrals to professionals and providers in the field, but also how to understand the language, the barriers that comes around mental health, the signs, the things to notice, the things to take upon. These are so important things because there are clients that are dealing with the daily life and struggle of life, family, and career that really, really need to have a listening ear through their barber in which they trust to really help them along their journey. As we know, racism and white supremacy has truly plagued the field of mental health and the field of healthcare, in which we know, in fact, this is the reason that Black Americans will not get the help that they deserve. And so we know right now we're in the driver's seat to change that narrative by giving barbers the tools. They're being able to help their clients to have the positive, the best life outcomes that they deserve.
Amazing. So I spent last fall interviewing over 30 of these barbers that you're talking about, anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 minutes. And for me, it was eye-opening. I didn't realize, and I knew barbers were important in the community. I knew that they are the eyes and ears of what goes on, but I had no idea the level to which they served people. They do, kids are going back to school this week or next week. So they do like school drives, free backpacks, free haircuts for kids. They provide services, like they even open up the shop as a community center sometimes for, say, AA meetings or people to come in who just need help. Somebody doesn't know where else to turn in the community, and the barbershop's always open. And they literally walk through the door. They might not even have money for a haircut. And for them, sometimes the customer just sitting in the chair or in the waiting room, not even getting a haircut, can be supportive and therapeutic for the barbers, which I think is incredibly powerful. And it made an impact on me where, and hearing your story as well, the mental health aspect of the barbers and the fact that barbers are gatekeepers, right? So teachers, doctors, nurses, tattoo artists, people who interact with a lot of people in the community, they hear stuff that no one else hears. And they get exposed to people that those people would not go to see a counselor or psychologist or call a hotline if they're going through a difficult time in life. Is there any certain story or stories that stood out to you that really made an impact of, I don't know, maybe just encouraging you to keep the Confess Project going?
Yeah, absolutely. It always reminds me of a story that happened in Tennessee. There was a barber that talked about there was a client that came to visit him on his regular visit, and the client was going through suicidal ideation and not wanting to live longer here on earth. And so the barber was in a position after receiving the training, that he was able to help this client get the help. The client ultimately did not take his life or attempt to take his life by suicide. And I think this is powerful. What if we haven't been on the front lines to give him that support? Beyond the support, this is confidence that we're talking about. This is barbers who they don't have a white coat and a suit on. They have on a cape, right? And it's very similar to how a doctor may appear, but they are non-judgmental. They are non-offensive to their clients and their counterpart, their loved ones. So we're in a tremendous way to accelerate the mental health outcomes for Black folks in a way that probably has never happened here in America. And so I'm super excited that story ripples across multiple cities across the United States in ways in which we need to see a promising future for mental health for Black Americans, Black men and their loved ones.
What has been the response of, let's say there's a barbershop that has never heard of the Confess Project, never heard of the work that you do, and for the first time they're like, hey, we can do a training with you and actually work with your barbers and allow them to be community advocates beyond the work they're already doing. Kind of just somebody who's new, what's their first initial response to what the Confess Project is?
Yeah, so typically what we do is we orient the barbershops, bringing them onto a call, really letting them know our offerings and how this is a great additive for their communities to be involved in themselves. We like to always use this as this is going to allow them to be a better barber and a better professional, because barbers are here to make money. They're here to run a business. This is going to help accelerate their business by serving people, one, and then ultimately they will make more money because their clients will be healthier. They will have a better economic outcome. And that's the most promising part of how this work can really help build our economy back as well. Because as we have more people healthier and mentally healthy in society, they will stay better employed. They will be better civilians in their community. They will better serve their communities to be strengthened and to be healthy. And I think that's something that we miss, that inside of this is an ultimate ripple effect for people all around them. But how this normally works as well is that, the Confess Project has been recognized across the United States as a tool. So there's barber associations. There are partners like Gillette, Barber and partners like Andy's company, Barber and partners associations across the United States that have passed our name on as a referral. We also have a barber coalition in which we host calls every month with our barbers that go through the training and build community. And so we're building an ecosystem. And so between those communication forums and partners, we have been able to now reach 500 barbers, but at the end of this year to reach 1,000. And in the next 3 years, our goal is to reach 5,000 barbers with the same support that we have, that we've already started.
So if you reach 1,000 barbers who are trained by the end of this year, so of 2021, and how many customers are they seeing annually? How many people are they impacting in the community roughly?
Yeah, so right now we've done the metrics ourselves and regulated at Barbers, seeing about 20 clients per day.
Wow.
Between 20. So we're talking existing and current clients, new clients and existing clients. Annually, with our 1,000 barbers at the end of the year, they will be seeing 1 million people across the United States. That's, again, some regular clients, new clients, hit and miss. We do not have the exact numbers of those, but we're very positive that they are at minimum, each barber can see 100 to over 100 people a month.
Wow.
And that's a given. There's some barbers who can cut 30 people here in a day. It just depends on how fast they're moving and the style and grooming of the client. So, but at minimum, 20 to 25, maybe 30 people here a day. And on Saturdays, right, on the business day in Barbershop, that could even be more. So we know, and in fact, we will reach millions of people. So each barber, right, we look at it like each barber can reach up to 100 people. And that's how we look at our numbers. So anyone who supports our work, donates to our work, impacts our work, you're impacting hundreds of people, each barber that we train.
Wow.
And I think that's significant.
Wow. And it's amazing too. So I know that the Confess Project says it's what's the quote? America's first
mental health barbershop.
Mental health barbershop. And it's interesting doing the research. I was looking at it, so I started it looking just at, say, mental health, right? I was looking at, okay, here's a customer comes in, they're going through a hard time, and the barber kind of supports them personally, right? They help them either get extra support or they just listen to the customer. Some of these customers they've been seeing since they were babies, since they had their first haircut, all the way through graduation and getting married. And that was the first piece. And then I realized doing the interviews, not just are they mental health advocates, they are preventing interpersonal violence, both in the community and domestic violence. So I heard stories like, for example, where people came in the shop afraid for their life and they were afraid of their own physical safety. And the barber was able to provide guidance and support and get that person the help that they needed. And also domestic violence. There was a story where a mother was bringing in her son to the shop every week or every other week, and the barber noticed, a female barber noticed bruises on her neck and arms. They were increasing. And the female barber kind of intervened and spoke with the female customer, brought her back into the office. The woman broke down into tears, shared her story, and she was able to, because she had gone through that herself, so she was able to provide local community connections because she knew the people that this woman needed to talk to. So it spread beyond just mental health advocacy, which is powerful, and it really had ramifications of injury prevention in the community, of violence prevention, domestic violence, and community. So that was the biggest shock to me in all of the research and all the interviews, that barbers do so much more. And as a former teacher, it's kind of the same thing where teachers never really feel appreciated, right? They do a lot, and they sometimes spend more time with the kids than sometimes the parents do. And I think the barbers, hopefully this research and the work of the Confess Project will bring the work of the barbers into light and to expose that more. And you were saying it's going to grow to the point of which it's reaching possibly millions of people a year. That's incredible. So what's the, how are barbers responding to all this idea that they're a part of such a great big movement?
Yeah. A lot of our barbers are in huge gratitude because they know that, each time that they pick up the clippers and go to work, that they are really going to change lives, that they're much more comfortable. Mental health has such a huge stigma. When you prepare people with the tools, they just do better. It's just a real outcome. They do better. When they have a network that they can rely on, they will be much better. They'll be much more confident. And that's what we need. We need more confidence assets in our communities. Right now, doctors, nurses, and social workers are just not in a position to truly serve the community at such a macro scale. And so when we talk about the emphasis around racism and distrust, we have to think about cultural assets such as our barbers. It's an addition. It's an absolute opportunity that our professional field is set up to do this work. But we have to recognize that there are just a lot of people that won't go into getting the help that they need because of those issues. So we want to design an opportunity and early intervention, for these things to filter. And so we're excited that this research puts us in that space to do more, to making this a proven practice that can be done over decades and throughout a lifetime.
What else, as a barber, as a mental health advocate, how can that support the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel that, I went to a beauty salon as a kid every day when I got off the bus here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and that shop was what I like to call it was the village. It was where you got discipline, where you was motivated, where there were, you had multiple mothers, fathers that were external mothers and fathers in other areas in your life. And currently, um, Barbershop serves as the real village care of our communities. It also just serves as a meeting place. Even besides the church, it is a non-offensive institution where anybody can really feel welcome. And in a lot of ways, I think that, and I say that because there are individuals who won't attend a church, or that won't, for whatever reason, these are maybe, but they will attend a barbershop, right? And in some way or form, they will come in contact with that. And so we know that we're tapping untapped potential in our communities, and allowing us to reach our Black men and their families in a way that I think hasn't been done. And I think, again, like you said, the community activities, your Christmas drives, your tour drives, your after school events, your back to school events. Barbershops are a true teamwork environment of barbers. Even if they don't even believe in the same morals and belief, ultimately, most of them are there to really serve their communities, because that's what they're particularly giving their time to. They're consuming people all day. And so I think this is why this initiative is so important, because it's very non-biased about who you are. As long as you're a barber, you're an African-American man or a woman, you're wanted, you're seen, and you're heard in this movement. And that's what's important about this. Regardless if you are part of the LGBTQ community, you are wanted, you are seen in this movement. And that's why we are on the road of success with our work.
Wow. Well, it's been amazing getting to know Lorenzo. I don't know, I guess over a year now. It's been a while, which is crazy. And just I've been really inspired by the work that you do. And I remember when I first heard the Confess Project idea, it's so funny. Everybody that I share it with, whether it's in Massachusetts where I am now, or in Philly where I'm from, or even internationally, the same response from everybody. That's cool. That just makes sense. And it's this thing where people are just like, why haven't we done this before? And I'm like, yeah. And they said that's just so inventive and creative. And it's so powerful about it is taking what's already there, and it's basically adding extra support to allow, as you're mentioning, Black communities throughout the U.S. to thrive and to overcome certain barriers. Another thing that came up in the interviews is a lot of young Black men don't want to open up about their feelings. And I've heard this from multiple barbers. But the barber chair, one barber put it, it's their pulpit, right? Like in church. And that the barber chair becomes a place where these young Black men can open up, and they know that the barber is going to keep things quiet. It's going to be confidential if no one's around. And the barbers basically are allowed, they can provide extra support if they need them. Where do you see this going with the Confess Project? Do you think it could go internationally? Do you think this idea could work and be replicated in other countries? Is there a need for that?
Yeah, absolutely. My desire is that, this will become a global initiative, a global training, a global product that is used to uplift our behavioral health and healthcare system. I believe that there is a huge vacancy in addressing the cultural assets of Black folks in our system of care.
Right.
And so I want to see that this is done in a way that can be replicated, but also replicated, for our, Africans that who are in the diaspora, right, that are in larger countries, that I think can really benefit beyond that, for Black women, that are in the space of barbering and being a stylist. In addition, other areas, whether they are, again, like you said, people who work at a bar, or people that work at a community center. We are in the process now of doing long-term research. And so we are hoping that research will develop an opportunity for this to be replicated in different areas. And so I'm really excited that we're on that journey. And it started with this research, that we're able to walk that journey and to see some long-term sustainability.
It's incredible. The last kind of comment or question for you, I've, even in the past year or so, seeing your personal growth as a person, and seeing how when I talked to you, Confess Project it was established, but it was still really growing, and it just took off this year. I mean, and it was funny. I like was looking at the website and just the media coverage and the sponsorships, but I've also seen your personal journey. What has this meant for you personally? Your growth and knowing that you're part of something that has just, I don't know, maybe exceeded your expectations. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you. What has that been like?
It has been it's been a joy, but it's been overwhelming as well. I think, but it's been an overwhelmingly, surprisingly beautiful feeling. I think that I can describe it. And so, but I'm excited. I didn't think it would happen as fast. I always felt that it would happen, but not as fast. I think the moment of COVID-19, just like this report says, that, in a racially disturbed moment in America, we really rose to the occasion. And so when you think about, how diamonds are brought to the surface, they're brought through pressure. They're brought through, and I think of our barbers are part of those diamonds that's being brought to the surface, and how they went through that mining and refining process. And so I'm excited that we rose to the occasion to now being a catalyst for so many. And I think that's what's really exciting about this.
Well, great. Well, thank you for your time. I'm super excited about interviewing 7 other barbers, talking more about this article Lorenzo and I did together. And creating these other videos. So this is great stuff. Thank you so much for your time, Lorenzo. And I look forward to speaking with you more and seeing the Confess Project go international and impact millions of lives. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks again, Justin.
Thank you.